Hello and welcome to Building Secrets, a podcast brought to you by Epic Custom Homes with our goal of educating the general public about the custom home building process. Today we're going to have with us a guest speaker, Jason Bedwell from BFS, Builders First Source, and our owner, Kirk Murdoch. Our goal for today is to discuss the challenges that new home builders might face when they start to enter this realm of figuring out the difference between a spec home build process or really a true custom. So I'm going to hand it over to both Kirk and Jason to start this topic for us.
Well, I'm going to correct you. It's home buyers, not home builders.
Home buyers.
That's
yes,
right.
we're
That's
here
right.
for the home buyers.
We're here for the buyers to make sure we educate them so they make the right choice. And I'd like Jason to tell his background because Jason has been in lumber sales for almost 20 years.
Yeah,
Is it 20 years?
2000. I entered the industry in about 2006.
And so I'm going to let you give a little bit of your credibility, but I'm going to basically spike that by saying you've worked for pretty much everybody that is the major players in town. And that you've seen it from a lot of different sides. So I'll let you kind of say a little bit about your background.
Yeah, so like we said, I came into the lumber industry in about 2006, been through, had the privilege of working pretty much with the three major lumber companies in town, supplying everything from lumber, doors and trim, windows, exterior doors, fireplaces, hardware. I mean, the whole gamut of what a typical lumber supplier would supply. So currently, I probably have a book of business of about 20 to 30 builders. Those range from anything from a spec builder building. My guys build 50 to 60 spec homes a year to custom builders that are building just 2 or 3 multi-million-dollar homes a year. So
speaking about spec home and custom home builders, can you help our audience understand what does that really mean? And is there kind of an in-between that maybe might be confusing for them when they're looking into this process?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think it is definitely a good question because what the consumer doesn't realize is that there's a ginormous spread. I mean, the expectation from a spec builder to a custom home builder, I mean, you're at total opposites ends of the spectrum and what to expect. If we look at today, I mean, I'll give you some just general statistics of what this market looks like, and it's different a little bit in Tulsa than the national average, but Tulsa averages about, I would say, around 2,500 to 2,800 building permits a year.
Okay.
Of that, probably closer to 40% of those building permits are made up of spec home builders.
Or production builders.
Production builders. Production builders. So that's a ginormous chunk of builders. Then you have probably around 125 to 130 builders or custom home builders that would call themselves custom home builders that would build from that 1 or 2 houses to maybe 35, pushing 40 houses would be what we would consider full-on custom home builders. So you have a big chunk of what this market is spec builders or production guys. So
who are some of the production builders that people are probably familiar with?
So some of that they're probably familiar with would be Simmons Homes, D.R. Horton, Roush Coleman, Executive Homes. Those are probably your top.
Shaw Homes.
Yeah, those are probably your top 4, 5, 6
in this area.
in this market as really true production home builders. And so segueing into your question, I mean, the production, what we consider from the lumber side and supply side is a production home builder really, I mean, you're put inside of a box of what those selections look like. So when those customers or those home buyers come in to visit with us about what their options are, they're going to be real limited. It's real limited. I mean, and that does help. There are some pros to that. I mean, they're able to really dial in a budget, and that number is really
probably timeline,
everything.
It's
more
predictable.
From budget timeline it becomes very, very predictable, and it helps them stay within that.
I've always felt like it was very similar to ordering a new car. We bought a Jeep a few years back, and we couldn't pick anything. We had certain leather, we had certain colors. That's all we had. That allowed Jeep in that particular instance to be efficient. design that car, design that assembly line, have all the quality control steps, very, very regimented, and they could tell you right then, hey, we'll deliver your car on this day. Where it's much more difficult for a custom home builder when you don't know what the homeowner's going to fully do, and that you have a world of options that we're not restricting them. And I've also seen that there's a lot of guys in the middle, that they have 4 or 5 plans that they really go to, and then they have, all the way up to even some $1 million homes where we're told by vendors they still have a group of selections they're supposed to choose from. They'll call them packages. You have these options for lighting, these options for hardware, these options for appliances. So I always felt like there's guys that are hybrids in the middle too. And those seem to be the guys that build maybe closer to that 25, 30, 40 homes, because it would be very difficult to do that and have it be kind of an open forum. Almost like free form essay versus multiple choice.
So I know what we do with Epic Custom Homes, we would consider a true custom process.
Custom, yes.
Can you point out some of those key differences between the customizable and the true custom? So some of these future home buyers know really what are they looking for? Do they need that true custom floor plan, or are they just looking to be able to pick out their lighting package? Like, what are some of the benefits? And maybe talk about building on, your own land or
Yes.
things like that really key in on why would you build a true custom?
Yeah, so I think there's several reasons you would build a true custom. One of them is exactly what you said. Maybe you have your own land. Most of the production builders, they would like to control their environment in terms of location. They may have one superintendent for an entire neighborhood, and he or she has 35 homes that they're managing at that time.
Yeah.
That would be very difficult for any human, all of the different people, all the different trades being involved. And so you're going to try to concentrate that. So some may do it, but most of them are going to say, nope, we're in our neighborhoods. That's where we build. You have land. That's not for us. And that's really about efficiency.
Yeah.
And so if you're on your land, you're going to find there'll be some builders, like kind of the ones I'm talking about, that are hybrid builders that would say, yes, I will build on your land, but here's my 6 floor plans.
Right.
And here's
from
my
this.
packages. And they can be more efficient and be more timely by being able to control that. They do have some variances or variables with the land and things like that, but it's still a smaller thing that they have to wrangle. Then you get to someone like us where it's a true custom, and maybe the reason you pick us is, well, you've always wanted to do it. You've been collecting Pinterest pictures for 10 years.
Yeah.
You're going to show those Pinterest pictures to a lot of builders, and they're going to go, oh my gosh, we're not built for this.
Right.
And the other reason would be you have special needs. We've built a number of homes where you had people that were limited in ability to walk. Maybe they had a child with special needs. Maybe this is really popular. They have an in-law or mother-in-law coming to live with them, and they want to hybrid that house. That's not going to be a floor plan that anybody has.
True.
So mostly what we see is somebody that is starting from scratch or a blank piece of paper, and they've got ideas and they need help making those ideas become a reality, and they don't want to be limited, or maybe this is they don't want to be limited to only these choices.
Right.
They want to be able to say, do this Pinterest picture. Well, that Pinterest picture probably has a lot of things that are not in somebody's ready-made packages.
A true custom is going to incorporate in your true electrical plan, your cabinet plan. You're making your selections on your finishes in truly every space.
Every space.
And I think, I'm guessing there's some misconceptions with home buyers that if I work with a certain builder or go a certain path, that being able to pick final finishes, that's a custom. But there is a big difference there. And obviously, there's going to be a difference in, predictability and things like timeline and cost. But it seems like there's also a misconception with the cost of a custom home build being way more, when in reality, if you go about it with the right amount of planning and predictability in the beginning, some of those upcharges that might incur if you go that kind of semi-custom isn't necessarily going to be the case. So can you kind of attest to a little bit of what you see with those differences charging?
Yeah, I would say it's super important that when a homeowner is starting to go through this process early on, is there's a lot of variables that they need when they're going to go the custom home builder route. I mean, I'm going to just tell you, not all, just from my experience in the market, is not all custom home builders are created equal.
Right. Yeah.
And so, there's a custom home builder out there for you. You just have to you got to do your legwork. You've got to do your homework on
Asking the right questions.
Asking the right questions, everything from the budget. If you don't understand how they're presenting their budget, you got to ask questions.
Right.
It's too often in this industry that it comes down back to the perception of who makes more, custom home builders or production home builders. At the end of the day, it's based on that preliminary budget and those preliminary questions that you and your builder that you've chosen have gone through that budget thoroughly.
Right.
And you're able to see your plan. Maybe using technology, we talk about a lot, is using that technology to get a 3D rendering so you can visually see what your plan is going to look like.
Right.
And through that, you're able to make better decisions with your builder on a budget. Oh, I don't like that plate height here. I'd really like to do this, change this here. That affects the budget from ground zero. And if you're making those changes on the job, that costs real money.
Right.
Lots of money.
Lots of money.
And time.
Where if you're doing those decisions up front and you're leveraging your builder's experience and technology, you're going to be able to, you're really going to be able to save yourself some money. Because you make those changes on the site, it's going to cost you 30, 40, 50% more than it would have cost you if you would have made that decision up front. And what we do, that's where we see builders start to make their money. And it's not because they're trying to price gouge you, but that I'm going to defend the industry in this because it really does. It costs time. It costs money to get multiple guys back out to the job to execute one thing.
Yeah. To make that change.
To make that change. So it is. There are builders out there that are going to upcharge you. You're going to, you want that window. Well, they're going to make that. That's not going to cost them any more money, but they're going to charge you that money.
Yeah.
And going to make money on that. And those upcharges, those are choices that you could make and that the builder understands up front. You guys are on the same page moving forward, and you're gonna save yourself, I think.
So beyond budget and planning, let's talk a little bit about staff support, maybe design support, or technology and planning programs, for example, that you might see a difference between some different custom home builders that make a lasting impact on that client experience.
Yeah. Well, a lot of clients that come in to visit with us in regards to selection, if I'm going to be honest, probably 70, 80% of those clients come in without builder representation.
Wow.
So when they come in to visit with us, a lot of times we're flying blind.
Yeah.
Blind.
We're flying blind. And so we're trying to figure out what that client wants without knowing what they've got in their budget.
Right.
Or knowing what they've done so far.
Yeah, what they've already planned for.
Correct.
So
that is that's the challenge. I can tell you with custom home builders that have people on staff, whether it's the builder themselves, whether it's part of their design team that come in with that client, man, that process is smooth. The homeowner walks out of there,
probably feeling confident
in their decision. The
process.
experience has been good versus very stressful if nobody's there, because we're trying to make this work. It is literally just trying to make them feel comfortable, but not knowing, right? And they don't know because, to be honest with you, if we're at that point and that builder is not showing up, they probably also don't really have and they don't really have an idea of they didn't know what question to ask.
Yeah.
Well, what window, what quality window am I getting? Am I getting a builder grade vinyl window? Am I getting a composite window? Am I getting a wood clad window? They don't know. And so a lot of those questions go unanswered. So what happens is we go through this entire process with the homeowner. We make selections. I send the quote over to the builder, and the builder's like, "Whoa,
didn't plan for that.
That's not in our budget." So guess what? The homeowner has to come back in. We've got to do it all over again. And that's just not a good experience for them. But
do you hear a lot of remorse from custom home buyers and clients that they wish they would have done more research, or they wish they knew more about their builder before they started? Or can you just sense it?
Yeah, you can. I don't. Usually when I'm meeting with them is early on in the process, right?
Yeah.
As it gets later and later, if I see them on a job site, they'll want to bend my hair a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, this has been a horrible experience, or
right.
Man, I just wish I would have
Vetted more.
And I hear that a lot. I wish I would have vetted more. So yeah, I mean, I definitely think that there is, and that's why my biggest suggestion is do their homework.
Yeah.
So do you have any suggestions on where, this is where I see a lot of people with remorse after the fact, meet them at the Parade of Homes or something, and I'll never build again. And I hate to hear that
Right.
because that's a future potential customer that we will never get
Right.
because somebody preceded us.
And bad for our industry.
Bad for our industry. Do you have suggestions? I used to laugh at certain builders that we all know are not very good. That all you'd have to do is go to Quick Trip at 7 in the morning and yell their name, and 5 people would come up to you, get coffee, and say run. But
Have a story.
outside of that, where could they look? How can they find this information? Find an insider like you would probably be number one, right?
Yeah, I mean, I would think if you're buying, especially if you're in a neighborhood,
Oh yeah.
Ask
around.
Right.
Right.
I mean, there are.
Be willing to drive on a Saturday and stop
Yeah.
the guy mowing his lawn.
Yeah.
Find out who the houses are that builder has built, not from the
Right.
builder, but from the developer
Yeah.
or from court
Because
records.
you can go.
Something like that.
Again, I mean, you could. I mean, an honest builder is going to give you some references, and those references 9 times out of 10 you're going to get such a
glowing,
positive.
right?
Right.
Yeah.
You know, everything's great, and so, I mean, just start off simple. I mean, I hate to say, go to Google but start there.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if you see, it will tell you. And I know nowadays in Google, you can
very
manipulate it,
manipulative, yeah.
but it's at least going to give you a baseline to
start.
start. And
I would think-
big neighborhoods that that have active.
Like HOAs.
HOAs, you can reach out to the
Yeah, that's
HOA
true.
and start talking with the developers, the development group, to say, hey, what builders that are in
Do you
here? Because in the
suggest?
development group or the developer, they're going to have a dozen, maybe in a good sized neighborhood, a dozen builders. You can go to them and ask them, and they're going to say, well, this is what we hear, because they're involved every day.
I always thought that the smartest thing to do, and I've done this with certain people that do vet. A lot of times, more seasoned buyers built a few homes before, and they've asked me, "How can I get a list of all the homes you've built in this neighborhood?" Which is a brilliant question, because I'm not giving them 3; I'm giving them 110
Right.
or whatever I've done, and then they can just drive around on a Saturday and go, "There's one of them," and the guy's sitting in his driveway washing his car. Hey, sir. Smartest thing, and I've had past customers call me and say this nice couple came and knocked on my door and asked me questions about you, and I
Right.
said that was very smart.
Yeah.
Because that's how you're going to get honesty.
Honest.
Ask the tough question: what went wrong, and
Yeah.
how did they handle it? Because that's the measure of people, not a builder, but a person. And you're going to have some situations where there's conflict, and how they are as a person is going to determine a lot on how that conflict is resolved.
Yeah.
And we see a lot of turn your back and run. And gosh, I hate to get into too much of the weeds, but we were at the HBA.
Right.
And we had someone
The
talk
Home Builder
about
Association, that's a good
Home
one.
Builder Association, someone talking about warranty, and 3 builders go, "Oh, I just blocked their number." I mean, you're
Yeah.
saying that in front of other competition. Why would you? I mean, you're that brash. So I just think that those are the kind of questions that you would ask an existing. Hey, you've been in on your home. Oh, I've been here 2 years. How do they handle it after the fact?
So it
Things
sounds
like that.
looking for multiple past client references,
Mm-hmm.
talking to insider vendors and contractors
Probably the
would
best
be
too.
a great one. And then if we can suggest that people would reach out to actual HOA organizations or the development, that sounds like a great start for people to get some more honest answers. And then also, we love the interview process when people come to us and we can start to talk to them about their project and explain to them how our design and budget process work together. I think that really gives people an opportunity to feel the family support group kind of environment that we have within our office. And so I would, suggest to people as well to look around, talk to different builders, see how their office interacts, because you're going to be working with these people for almost a year.
Yeah,
I mean, we become very close with our families, and
And
it's important for them to be able to trust us and feel
Well, and a
comfortable.
point that you're making
100%.
there is not that like our sales team or anybody else's sales team isn't great, but that's not who builds your house. At the end of the day, that's just the introduction. Yes, learn all the information you can, read all the information, everything we're talking about.
Yeah.
But ultimately, if you can get to the actual team that you're going to deal with for the
Yeah.
next, 6 months to a year,
Right.
that's actually going to determine. Because I've heard a lot of people, oh, he was a great salesperson, but man, that builder. And at the end of the day, that's the person or persons you're going to be dealing with. And how organized are they? How efficient? Do they have processes in place? At the end of the day, we are a manufacturer.
Right.
And like any good manufacturer, you're going to have quality control points. You're going to have feedback loops that whoever your customer is, hopefully you've given them a platform to basically complain if necessary, ask for
Open
support if necessary, there are builders out there that limit your communication to like 25 emails or something like that. I mean,
and that's a good topic as well.
That's
some
not
of the
a
difference
custom
between
builder.
the difference between a spec home builder or
Yeah.
even a semi-custom and then a true custom builder. Those clients have to be able to communicate and feel comfortable with their design team, their production team, and then also with your vendors and suppliers like you, so they're truly getting and understanding what they're getting in their home. So what kind of communication issues or maybe pros and cons have you seen between some of these different home building processes?
I mean, I'll just say that I would say that I counted it once because I was just curious with one client. We had over 500 unique conversation threads that extended to multiple emails, text messages, or on-site conversations. And we have to do that for them and us because there's just too many moving parts. When we talk about a car, there's a lot more parts in a house.
Yeah.
And we're choosing most of those parts. Now, they're not picking the 2x4, but they're picking where the 2x4 goes. So ultimately, there needs to be an open communication and there needs to be a lot of upfront planning time given to that client. And if they don't have that and they're so ready to go that we'll just sign it, we'll figure it out later. Whoo!
Kirk, I can't tell you how many times. Yeah, I can't tell you how many times a homeowner, a future homeowner walks into a model home or a parade house and just is in love and just like, where do I sign? What do I sign?
Yeah.
I mean, you have number one, you have no idea how long or the process that it took to get to that.
Right.
And then what do you even,
Yeah.
I mean, you haven't even talked.
So
They probably don't even, a lot of times it's unfortunate, and I know I'm not going to throw shade on anybody, but you'd be surprised that in this custom industry how many builders do not know their actual costs.
Yeah, they don't. I mean, many don't. Because I ask them and they'll go, yeah, what do you give them for that wood floor? I don't know. Like, really? How do you not know?
Yeah.
I mean, but I also think that, to be fair, everybody comes to this industry from somewhere. And to say that builders in general would be experts at financial management, that's probably a little high on the expectation level. Some come from financial backgrounds, but many do not. Many come from within the trades, and they may be excellent at that, but maybe financial management's their weak point. If that turns out to be very important to you because you have a budget that has to be hit, the public needs to be aware that the average overage percentage on a Tulsa custom home is 21%. And how does that happen?
Right.
And I think that's worth talking about. How do you go 21% over? And number one, bad planning. It's not aligning the budget with your true expectations because that's glossed over or you go too fast.
Right. Kind of like what we talked about. Ways to avoid that is do your research, understand your planning and your budget from the beginning, feel comfortable with your team so that you can make those changes.
And be willing to give the time, your time.
Oh, yeah. Building a custom home is, some of our clients, we're so grateful how seriously they take it.
Yes.
And because there's a lot of decisions that
Helps.
we can make the decisions. We can help them with that. But most clients aren't going to build a custom home if they don't want that involvement. And so that is a good point to point out that it's a big time commitment on them.
It is.
Well.
But it's your biggest investment for most people. And it's so personal. And I always tell them, the worst thing you can do is drive into your driveway every day and feel the disappointment.
Right.
Just be reminded of the negatives.
Yeah,
That's
and
terrible.
that's something that, I really love about what we get to do because we get to make it, because of our organization and our process, we can make it more fun and exciting and a little less stressful than some of those builders who don't maybe have that organizational skill or the design team and the, budget and money support. And obviously our great vendors that have the experience, expertise, and your trust in us helps carry on to the trust that the clients can bring into the build as well. But I think that pretty much wraps it up for our topic for today, kind of really starting to understand what the differences is between a spec home build process and a true custom. And Jason, we truly appreciate your time every day. We appreciate your time and what you give to our clients and to our company. So, but as you guys, the watchers, and hopefully your potential home buyers, we would also love to hear your questions. Please reach out to us at info@epichtulsa.com. We also have an amazing website, Epic Custom Homes, Tulsa.com.
Yes.
And for our Epic Custom Homes, we can find our videos, links. You can get more information on how to reach out to us and to also see some of those amazing clients that we've had in the past do some of their testimonials, and to share that experience with you. So, all right. Thank you.